Welcome to the Big Idea Show. Wiglaf Big Idea Show presents Headline Pricing, September 2015, with me, your host, Tim J. Smith, PhD. What's on the headlines? We got Perilous LATAM, wonderful LATAM. El Marto, Target, now Primani. Skyscrapers are high, duh. High-tech dirt. Africa imbibes. The imaginary price. Data-driven corner bakeries. Yeah, let's get started. Perilous LATAM, wonderful LATAM. What am I talking about? I'm talking about currencies and inflation in Latin America. And if you have operations in Latin America, I know you're asking a simple question. What do I do? What do I do? Says question mark Rockman. Well, you take a look at the currencies. You got down 4% in Brazil, in Argentina, right here. You got down 5% in Mexico over the course since just June. I mean, just the last quarter, losing value in Mexico. Take a look at Colombia. Here's Colombia in the red. That's down, almost 15%. When you get to Brazil, look at that, down more than 20% in value. That Reais from Brazil doesn't buy a lot of American goods anymore. And take a look at the growth across Latin America in 2015. A lot of countries forecast to only grow about 5%. That's like no growth. That's the population growth. Brazil, that's down 2%. I mean, we're talking about the economy in Brazil is not doing well at all. Inflation. Some decent inflation in Mexico, totally manageable. Colombia, 5%. It's getting high. Brazil, almost 10%. Argentina, 15% inflation. How do I manage an inflationary economy with no growth and high currencies? How do I manage my prices across these things? Maybe question mark Rockman wants to know, well, what's causing this? Then you start reading the paper, they talk about Fed rate uncertainty, country risk, a very polite term for political turmoil and government uncertainty, country risk, declining price of oil, definitely impacts Brazil, Mexico, Venezuela, declining demand for raw ores from China because China's not building highways as fast. They don't need as much raw ores out of Latin America. Maybe it's looking at the ag and aquaculture products. Globally, maybe those demands are down because these other countries have their own economic challenges. But really what it comes down to is simple capitalism 101. If you fail, Wiglaf Toltec Mesoamerican dude, right here, Wiglaf Toltec Mesoamerican dude. He points out, if you fail to produce something that someone and the rest of the world wants at a price they're willing to pay, and the world will ignore you. And they're ignoring LATAM and what they're producing, and so they just can't buy as much. Now, what are you going to do if you're managing products in LATAM? What do you do? What do you choose? That's question mark Rockman. Well, if you're a U.S. exporter, you're thinking, well, just to keep up with the declining currencies, I got to raise my prices. And if you're a Latin American company, inflation's high, my input cost keeps going up, I got to pass on, and then you say, but wait, I'm going to lose my customers. I got to keep my customers. What do I do? Choice. Absorb the cost increase or the currency devaluation. May cause margins to shrink, could possibly go negative. Or the alternative, pass on some or all of the cost increase to your customers through your channel. It may raise your prices relative to the competition. It may result in a reduction of sales. These are your two choices, absorb or pass it on. And let's take a look at other industries, other times when they face similar problems. These currency devaluations, Brazil, Argentina, these currency devaluations, they're being felt by all your competitors. Your customers know this. It's not a happy day right now to be in Latin America. These cost increases driven by currency changes, inflation, and other means, they can be passed on to customers to some degree. Your firm cannot sustain itself operating at a loss. It just can't. You want proof? Back in 2006, we had a brilliant, questionably, idea of using corn to drive cars. Physicist, I am, and I know thermodynamically, no, it doesn't work. But anyway, we chose to do this. It's a political decision. I'm not going to discuss why. And so the price of corn was being used to drive cars. It's a whole new demand set. And sure enough, the corn supply kind of fixed, so the prices went up for corn, and this does affect the knock-on products like chickens and pigs. I mean, how do you make a chicken? You feed it corn. How do you make a pig? You feed it corn. Now, Pilgrim's Pride, when they were facing this inflationary cost of an input, corn, they said, well, we'll absorb it. We're going to take market share. This is just temporary. Pilgrim's Pride went bankrupt. They were bought by JBS down in Brazil. Smithfield Foods, they did not absorb the cost increase. They passed it on. They reduced production. It was painful. But they emerged from that temporary turmoil as a winner. They did not go bankrupt. They were eventually sold at multiple earnings to a Chinese company that wanted more pigs. Passing on the cost increase may hurt. It will hurt. It may cause you to shrink, but at least you will survive to fight another day. I'm talking about resiliency here. These three basic pricing questions, Wiglaf, Toltec, Mesoamerican dude poses at you. What's the alternative? Are you better or are you worse? Does the customer care? They are still in play. But all of your competitors are facing the same need to raise prices. So you can raise them too at the same time. To make this work, you got to communicate. You got to tell your customers, and yes, your competitors will be listening, that you're going to raise prices. Tell them why. Give them the simple reasons. And be judicious about it. Don't raise it 40% in one day. Raise it over time, in step with inflation. Maybe some products can be raised faster than inflation, other products not. In step with competition. Sometimes you can lead, sometimes you need to be a fast follower. But monitoring and managing those prices over the course of time. This is a point in time where you really needed to have your competitive price reaction strategy mapped out ahead of time. Oddly, if you do pricing for a living, this is a great time for pricing. Rather than fear the price increase in LATAM, this is the time to seize the opportunity and raise your prices. Your customers are expecting it. They don't like it, but they know it. They get it. Use this opportunity to rationalize your product portfolio. Rationalize it by managing that price image to keep customers thinking that you are fairly and competitively priced. Meanwhile, some of your lower demand, infrequently purchased goods, raising those prices a little bit faster than inflation, you'll actually see higher profits in the future if you manage this properly. There are means. We did research at PwC in joint partnership with Wiglaf Pricing on velocity pricing, showing how manufacturers can use velocity pricing to manage inflation towards their favor. You want to learn more? Choose one, choose all. Choose a day of courses on value-based pricing and corporate strategy. in Chicago, November 16th through 20th. Prices start $14.95.